Ocean pollution is one of the most serious environmental problems facing our planet today. Every year, millions of tons of plastic, chemicals, and other waste enters the oceans, harming marine life and damaging ecosystems. Pollution not only affects sea animals but also threatens human health and livelihood through contaminated seafood and polluted coastlines. By raising awareness and taking action such as reducing plastic use and protecting marine environments, we can help create a cleaner and healthier ocean for future generations.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important environmental issue, which is ocean pollution. Ocean pollution is a problem that affects every country in the world. It does not only harm the ocean, but it also affects animals, plants, human health, tourism, fishing industry, and even the economy. When people hear the words ocean pollution, they usually imagine plastic bottles floating on the sea or rubbish on the beach. However, ocean pollution is much more serious than that. It also includes oil spills, chemical waste, untreated sewage, fishing equipment, and many other harmful substances. Many people are becoming more aware of this problem. We often see environmental campaigns on social media. Schools organize recycling activities, and governments introduce new environmental policies. However, despite all these efforts, ocean pollution continues to become worse every year. So today we will discuss several important questions. First, why is ocean pollution still increasing? Second, what are the effects on marine life and human society? Finally, what can governments, companies, and ordinary people do to reduce this problem? I believe everyone has a different opinion, so let's begin our discussion. To start with, I'd like to ask both of you a question. Why do you think ocean pollution is becoming more serious even though people know it is harmful?
That is a very interesting question. Personally, I think one of the biggest reasons is convenience. Nowadays, people live very busy lives. Everyone wants things to be fast, cheap, and easy. For example, many people use plastic bags when shopping, buy drinks in plastic bottles, order takeaway food in disposable containers, and use plastic straws or plastic correctly without thinking twice. These products are useful because they save time, but they also create a bunch of rubbish. And many people understand that plastic is bad for the environment, but changing daily habit is not always easy. Some people forget to bring reusable bags or water bottles. Others simply choose the most convenient option. As a result, millions of pieces of plastic waste are produced every single day. Unfortunately, a large amount of this waste eventually reach river and oceans.
I agree that convenience plays in an important role. However, I don't think individuals should carry all the responsibility. I believe companies and manufacturers also contribute greatly to this problem. Today, almost everything we buy is wrapped in plastic. Even if someone wants to reduce plastic waste, it can be difficult because many products only come in plastic packaging. For example, snacks, drinks, online shopping, parcels, and even fresh vegetables are often wrapped in plastics. Consumers do not always have another choice because plastic is cheap, light, and easy to produce. Many companies continue using it. Therefore, I think business should also be responsible to reducing unnecessary plastic packaging.
That's a good point. So both of you agree that plastic pollution is a serious issue, but you can focus on different causes. Adeline believes our daily habits are one of the main reasons. Yijing believes companies should also take greater responsibility. Personally, I think both sides are connected. If companies provide more environmentally friendly products, consumers will have more choices. At the same time, if consumers actively support eco-friendly products, companies may be encouraged to produce more sustainable goods. So perhaps both sides influence each other. What do both of you think? Can consumers really influence company, Or do companies have more powers to change society?
I think consumers do have some influence. For example, in recent years, more people have started using reusable shopping bag, reusable cups, and mental straw. Because of the growing demand, many businesses have also started selling environmentally friendly products. Some supermarkets even charge customers for plastic bags to encourage people to bring their own reusable bag. This shows that when enough people change their behavior, businesses are willing to change too. However, I still believe companies have more resources and more influence than individuals. One company decision can reduce thousands of tons of plastic every year. An individual can only reduce a small amount of waste by themselves. So I think companies should take the
I understand your opinion. I also think companies have more resources. However, I believe change should come from both directions. If consumers continue buying products with excessive plastic packaging without caring about the environment, many companies may not feel pressure to change. So, on the other hand, if consumers start choosing environmentally responsible brands, business may realize that sustainability is becoming an important factor of customers. In today's world, many companies care about their public image. If people support environmentally friendly companies and avoid business with poor environmental practice, companies may improve their policies. So I think consumers have influence than we sometimes realize.
Both of you have raised a very good point. It seems that ocean pollution is not caused by just one group of people. Instead, it is the result of many different factors working together. Individual behavior, business decisions, government policies, and even modern lifestyles all play a part. This also explains why solving ocean pollution is not easy. Since we've been talking mostly about plastic waste, I'd like to move on to another question. Besides plastic pollution, what other human activities do you think contribute to ocean pollution? I think this is an important question because many people only focus on plastic, but there are actually many other causes that deserve our attention as well.
I think one of the biggest cause is still plastic pollution. Plastic is everywhere in our daily lives. We use it when we buy food, drinks, clothes, and many other products. The problem is that many plastic items are only used once before they are thrown away. For example, people may use a plastic bag for just a few minutes after shopping, but that the same bag can remain in the environment for hundreds of years. Many people throw rubbish into river, drains, or open source without thinking about where it will end up. After heavy rain, the rubbish is carried into the river and eventually flows into the ocean. This is why we often see beach covered with plastic waste after storms. I think they show that our daily action can have a much bigger impact than we realize.
I completely understand your point. I would also like to add something that many people don't know about, which is microplastics. When people hear the word plastics, they usually imagine bottles or plastic bags. However, plastic does not simply disappear over time. Instead, sunlight, wave, and strong winds slowly break large pieces of plastic into tiny particles called microplastics. These particles are so small that they are often invisible to our eyes. Marine animals may mistake them for food. Small fish eat them, bigger fish eat the smaller fish, and eventually these tiny plastic particles can move through the entire food chain. Some studies have even found microplastics in drinking water, table salt, and seafood. Although scientists are still studying the long term effects on humans, It is clear that this is becoming a global concern.
That's quite worrying. Many people probably think that once plastic becomes smaller, the problem disappears. But from what you explained, the opposite is true. The smaller the plastic becomes, the harder it is to remove from the environment. It also becomes much easier for marine animals to swallow it by accident. Besides plastic waste, what other kinds of pollution should we pay more attention to?
Another important cause is industrial pollution. Factories produce many different products every day, and some manufacturing process create chemical waste. If factories do not treat this waste properly, before releasing it, harmful substances can enter rivers and coastal waters. Eventually, this pollution reach the ocean. Industrial pollution can affect water quality and damage marine ecosystem. Some chemicals are toxic to fish, corals, and other sea animals. Even though certain harmful substances can remain in the environment for many years, this means the damage may continue long after the pollution first enters the ocean. I think this is why governments needs to monitor factories carefully and make sure environmental laws are properly enforced.
I agree. Sometimes the problem is not that environmental laws does not exist. The problem is that they are not always enforced effectively. Some companies may ignore environmental regulation because proper waste treatment costs money. If the penalties are too low, they may think it is cheaper to pay the fine than to improve their waste management system. I believe governments should impose stricter penalties on companies that pollute the environment. At the same time, businesses should understand that protecting nature is part of their social responsibility. Making a profit is important, but it should come at the expense of the environment.
That's an interesting point. It reminds us that environmental protection is not only about personal responsibility. Strong laws and proper enforcement are also necessary. However, there is another source of pollution that people don't often talk about. Have either of you heard about ghost nets?
Yes, I have. Ghost nets are fishing nets that have been lost or abandoned in the ocean. Although fishermen may leave them by accident, these nets continue trapping marine animals for many years, such as fish, sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, and even whales can become trapped. Many of these animals are unable to escape and eventually die. This is why ghost nets are sometimes called silent killers of the ocean. The problem is especially serious because these nets are usually made of plastic, so they take a very long time to break down. Even after many years, they continue harming another marine life too.
I think that is a very important issue. Many people blame plastic bottles and plastic bags, but they do not realize that fishing equipment also contributes to ocean pollution. Besides ghost nets, fishing lines, ropes, and plastic floats can also be left behind in the sea. These materials make wrap around coral reefs or trap sea animals. In addition, damaged fishing equipment often breaks into smaller plastic plates, creating even more pollution. This shows that ocean pollution comes from many different human activities, not just one source.
I agree. After listening to both of you, I think we can see that ocean pollution is much more complicated than most people imagine. Plastic waste, industrial pollution, and abandoned fishing equipment all create different kinds of problems. Some types of pollution are easy to see, like plastic bottles floating on the water. Others, such as microplastic and chemical pollution, are almost invisible, but they can still cause serious damage. This means we should not only focus on what we see on the surface, we also need to pay attention to hidden form of pollution that may have long-term effects. Before we move on, I'd like to ask one more question. Do you think tourism also contributes to ocean pollution? Or is it a much smaller problem compared to the causes that we discussed? I think this is an interesting topic because many people enjoy visiting beaches during holiday, but not everyone behaves responsibly.
Personally, I think tourism also contribute to ocean pollution. Many people enjoy spending time at the beach during weekends or holidays. However, not everyone cleans out after themselves. Some people leave behind plastic bottles, food wrappers, cans, and other rubbish. Even if only a small number of visitors litter, the amount of waste can become very large because thousands of people visit popular beach every year. If the beach rubbish is not collected quickly, strong winds and high tides may carry it into the sea. This is why keeping beach clean is everyone's responsibility.
I agree. Besides tourists, business near beach also have an important role. Hotels, restaurants, and beach resorts should provide enough rubbish bins and encourage visitors to dispose of their waste properly. Some businesses have even stopped using single-use plastic and replaced them with paper or biodegradable packaging. I think these are good examples because business can influence customers through their actions. If more companies adopt environmentally friendly practice, tourists may also become more aware of protecting the environment.
Those are excellent points. Another important issue is oil pollution. Many people only hear about large oil spills on the news, but smaller oil leaks happen much more often. Oil pollution can come from ships, fishing boats, or offshore drilling platforms, and industrial activities. When oil spreads across the surface of the ocean, sunlight cannot easily reach the water, and oxygen exchange is reduced. This affects marine plants and animals. Birds covered in oil often lose the ability to fly properly, while marine mammals may struggle to keep warm because their fur no longer works effectively. Cleaning up oil spills is also extremely expensive and can take many years.
I agree. I think another important cause is poor waste management. Even if people throw their rubbish into bins, problems can still happen if waste is not managed properly. For example, overflowing rubbish dumps, block drains, and weak recycling system may allow waste to escape into rivers. During heavy rain, plastic waste can be carried downstream before finally reaching the ocean. This means ocean pollution does not always begin at the beach. Sometimes it starts many kilometers inland. That's why improving waste management system is just as important as encourage people not to litter.
Exactly. This also shows that ocean pollution is connected to many other issues such as city planning, public infrastructure, and government policies. If recycling facilities are limited, people may have no choice but to throw everything into one rubbish bin. If rubbish collection is not regular, waste may accumulate and eventually enter waterways. Therefore, solving ocean pollution requires cooperation from many different sectors, not only environment organizations.
After discussing all these causes, let's talk about the effects. In your opinion, what do you think is the most serious consequence of ocean pollution?
For me, I think the biggest impact is on marine life. Many sea animals accidentally eat plastic because they mistake it for food. Sea turtles may mistake plastic bag for jellyfish. Seabirds often feed small pieces of plastic to their chicks. Fish and dolphins can become trapped in fishing nets or plastic ropes. As a result, many animals are injured or die. So some species are already endangered. So pollution made their situation even worse. If we continue polluting the ocean, we may lose amazing marine species in the future.
I agree, and I would like to highlight the impact of humans. Many people think ocean pollution only affects sea animals, but that isn't true. Humans depend on healthy ocean for food, jobs, transportation, and tourism. When fish consume microplastics or harmful chemicals, this pollution may eventually reach our dinner tables. Fishermen may also catch fewer fish because marine ecosystems become damaged. This affects their income and the economy. In addition, polluted beach may discourage tourism from visiting, causes losses or for local business. So protecting the ocean is actually protecting ourselves.
That's a very important message. The ocean provides food, oxygen, and many natural resources that support life on Earth. If we continue damaging marine ecosystems, future generations may face even greater environmental and economic challenges. Now let's move on to possible solutions. What do you think government should do?
I think government should introduce stricter environmental laws and enforce them properly. Companies that illegally dump waste into rivers or the ocean should receive heavy fines. Government should also invest in better recycling system, waste treatment facilities, and environmental education. International cooperation is also important because ocean pollution does not stop at national borders. Countries need to work together to protect our shared oceans.
I believe companies also have an important responsibility. Business should reduce unnecessary plastic packaging and develop more environmentally friendly products. Many companies are already using biodegradable materials or encouraging customers to bring reusable containers. So technology can also help. Scientists are developing new methods to collect plastic waste from the ocean and create sustainable materials. Although technology cannot solve everything, it can become an important part of the solution.
I completely agree. Finally, individuals also have an important role. Simple actions such as carrying reusable bags, using refillable water bottles, sorting rubbish and recycling, and joining beach cleanup activities may seem small. However, when millions of people make these choices every day, the impact can be very significant. Protecting the ocean is not only the responsibility of governments or companies, it is something that every one of us can contribute to.
Today's discussion has helped us understand the ocean pollution is a complex issue with many different causes. Plastic pollution, industry waste, oil spills, abandoned fishing equipment, tourists, and poor waste management all contribute to this growing problem. These issues are connected, which means there is no single solution.
We also learned that the effects of ocean pollution go far beyond the ocean itself. Marine animals lose their habitats, ecosystems become damaged, and pollution can eventually affect human health, food security, tourism, and the economy. This reminds us that the ocean is closely connected to our everyday lives. So protecting marine ecosystem is not only about saving the sea animals, it is also about protecting our own future.
I think today's discussion shows one very important lesson. Ocean pollution is not caused by one person or one country. Likewise, it cannot be solved by one person or one government alone. Real progress requires cooperation between governments, businesses, schools, communities, and individuals. Everyone has a role to play.
Yes, you are right. Government needs to create stronger environmental policies and improve waste management. Companies should produce more sustainable products and reduce unnecessary plastic packaging. School can educate young people about environmental responsibility, where communities can organize recycling programs and beach clean-out activities. As individuals, we can make small but meaningful change in our daily life, such as reducing single-use plastic, recycling properly, and encouraging our family and friends to care for the environment.
Yes, I understand your perspective. Some people believe that one person's action cannot change the world. However, every big change begins with small actions. If millions of people make better choices every day, together we can create a cleaner and healthier ocean for future generations. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet and support countless forms of life. Without healthy oceans, there can be no healthy earth. Therefore, protecting the ocean is not only an environment responsibility, but also a responsibility to ourselves and to future generations.
As the saying goes, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Therefore, let's work together to protect our ocean before it's too late. Thank you, Adeline and team, for sharing your valuable opinions today. I also want to thank everyone for listening to our discussion. We hope today's discussion has increased your awareness of ocean pollution and inspire all of us to take better care of our ocean. Thank you very much.